Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the vlog. Figured I'd just kick it off here. It feels like it's been a minute since I've actually vlogged on the channel. I've been so focused on making informative content, kind of mastering the Technique Tuesday series. But anyway, just want to give you guys a quick update on what I've been up to. It is December 29th, and if you can't tell, I literally just woke up. It's 10 in the morning. My sleep schedule has been a little bit weird lately because Rashawn and I will usually film the Technique Tuesday videos really late at night. So we just finished filming the pull-up one, which will be out this Tuesday, and we were at the gym until I think it was like 1:30 or 2 in the morning. We usually do that just so the gym is completely empty and we can basically do what we want. Last time I ended up doing, I think it was 30 total sets of pull-ups just to get enough shots and all the angles we needed for the videos. So my lats are still super sore from that. It was a crazy workout. It was like 30 sets of 5. I want to give you guys a quick update. If you can see out here, we got our first snowfall. Winter is a little bit late getting here in Kelowna this year, so we didn't really have much snow for Christmas, but lucky for me, I'm heading back to Florida in like a week with Stephanie. So let me show you guys real quick what I got for Christmas. So these are probably my favorite gifts right here. These are actually both not gifts. I'm just currently reading those. These are the books I got for Christmas. My favorite one, the one I'm starting first, is The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe. This is by Dr. Steve Novella. I would say Dr. Steve Novella, is the whole reason why I'm interested in the science of fitness to begin with. His podcast, The Skeptic's Guide to the Universe, is what this book is based on. And I started listening to that in, I think it was like 2012, and it's just like mainstream science communication. It really made me so passionate about it. So I heard that they were dropping this book, and Steph went and picked it up for me. So this is like, I'm so excited to read this. I can't wait. This is gonna kick off the year perfectly for me, and I find it so motivating for wanting to make good scientific content. What else did I get? I'll show you. Steph got me a new pair of boosts to add to the ever-growing shoe collection over here. My parents got me this weighted blanket, so it's like super heavy. When I'm sleeping, I love to feel like I'm suffocating, so that blanket is perfect for that. Here's my main gift, all the way from Florida.
I made it. I came fully wrapped. This is how it's delivered. I'm back.
You're back and you're freezing.
Yes. You see the outside?
Guys, Steph got in Christmas Eve, so we've been hanging out.
You guys missed me, right?
Oh, Steph's doing the leg day with me today, by the way.
I won't wear all this. Maybe.
That's really your lifting gear. I'm gonna get some breakfast and then we'll get ready to go to the gym, because the gym is crazy right now. Like, I guess people after Christmas just really feel motivated to train, so we try to get out there a little bit earlier, get it done before the crowds get too ridiculous. So anyway, get some breakfast on. This has been my usual breakfast for the last month or so, except I'll usually put one whole egg in there instead of just the egg whites. Nothing too crazy. And then I'll have these 2 supplements in the morning. So my multivitamin, which I just take as kind of a nutritional insurance. It's really common for people up north to have like vitamin D deficiencies. And then there's a bunch of research in athletes showing them to be deficient in several vitamins and minerals. So even though the health benefits of a multivitamin may not be fleshed out in the literature, I still think it's worthwhile to take one if you can, given that it's cheap and there doesn't seem to be any downside to it. So still take that. And then omega-3 fish oil. I did a video with Ben Carpenter talking about some of the benefits on these. So that's my morning supplementation, and we're gonna eat this breakfast. Also, I forgot to say this earlier when I was talking about my Christmas gifts, but my New Year's resolution in 2019 is to read 50 books. So almost one a week, and I'm telling that to you guys because I want to be held accountable to that. So I'd say at the end of the year, what I might do is do like a top 10 book review or something like that. And if you have any suggestions or recommendations for books, let me know in the comments below, and I'll go through and look at some of them that are like highly upvoted, and I'll definitely add it to my list because I'm always looking for new things to read. Today, basically I'm starting block 2 of my push-pull legs program. So I know many of you are running that program, but I feel like the discussion and me taking you through the workout will apply whether or not you're running the program. But basically the first 8 weeks of this program, I'm gonna pull it up here. I just have it in my iBooks app here, so push-pull legs. So yeah, block 2, week 1. And block 1 of this program, which I feel like is a good idea in general, to split your program up into phases or blocks with a specific focus. So block 1 was really focused on technique, and that applies whether you're a beginner or you're more advanced, because I feel like a lot of people don't give technique the attention it deserves, hence the entire series that I'm making. And also, the second goal of that program was volume accumulation and building of a big work capacity. So it was a pretty high volume program, especially for the lower body. Like, I had a lot of people message me being like, bro, that day one is brutal. And it is tough, they're challenging sessions. However, the idea is to leave a little bit in the tank in terms of effort or intensity, because you're really trying to build up this work capacity. Now in block 2, that kind of changes. The volume is actually brought down quite a bit. However, the effort is really increased. So you're gonna be pushing yourself harder. A lot of people make the mistake of always trying to increase volume and then always putting pedal to the metal in terms of how hard you're pushing yourself. And that's a mistake, because that's really gonna set yourself up for injury. Now, I'm kicking off block 2 of this program with a deload, which I think is a good idea for most people, especially if you're combining powerlifting style strength training with hypertrophy training. If you're purely only hypertrophy training and not doing, heavy squats, deadlifts, bench presses, etc., then you may not actually need a deload, because you're supposed to be leaving some amount of reps in the tank anyway and really only going to muscular failure, so to the point where you can't do more reps with perfect technique. So you may not necessarily need a deload as a pure bodybuilder. That's a little bit controversial, but I think that pure bodybuilding should involve some strength training anyway, so deloading is probably a good idea. I think deloading serves two main purposes. The first is for recovery, so you're gonna allow your soft tissues and the muscles themselves to kind of recover, deload, that's the whole point of it. And then also, it can, in a sense, resensitize you to a new training stimulus through either increasing your motivation. So after the deload, you're like, okay, I'm ready to go in and crush it again, because you really do have to pull back in a deload. A lot of people will run a deload and still train just as hard, and they just reduce their volume. So yeah, it can resensitize you to a new training stimulus and make you feel more motivated. Now, in terms of how I set my deload up, it's quite simple. As a general rule, you want to reduce both volume and intensity. As I said, many people will only reduce volume, so they'll do less sets, but they'll still push themselves just as hard. Or they'll do exactly the same amount of volume, but push themselves less hard. But you want to strip both back. So I'll reduce my volume by about 50% to 75% of what would be normal, and I'll reduce intensity by around 2 RPE units. So if I would normally go to an RPE of 9, leaving 1 rep in the tank, now I would go to an RPE of 6 or 7. And you really want to hold yourself accountable to that. Just in terms of general periodization, I'm gonna do another video, like a full science explained video on periodization. But for right now, what I wanna do is point you guys toward this paper by John Kiley, or I'll put it in the description box for you guys, but let's see. Periodization Paradigms in the 21st Century. This was actually published in 2012 by John Kiley. This is probably my favorite periodization paper of all time, even though it's like 6 years old now. And I'm just gonna read off my favorite line from this here and briefly explain it. So, managing training variation, he explains these two concepts here. So he says, training variation is a critical component of long-term planning, but if adaptive energy is too widely distributed, gains may be excessively diluted. I like that he actually uses gains there. So what he's basically saying here is you don't want to make either of two very common programming mistakes. The first is to just never switch anything up. You're just always doing the same program, progressively overloading. You will make progress, especially as a beginner, that way, but there'll come a point when it's just so monotonous. The other mistake would be to excessively switch things up to the point that you totally lose progression. So basically, you need to vary your training, but you need to do it periodically. You don't want to just always be varying it. And that's the problem with the whole prototypical muscle confusion concept, which is basically every workout you're going in and doing something totally different. This isn't the smartest way to program, because it makes progression so much more unlikely to actually happen. Because let's just say you're going in week 1, you do a pull-up, week 2, you do a hammer strength pull down, week 3, you do a pullover, week 4, you're back to your pull-up again. Unless you're really methodical about tracking your progress, which most people who do muscle confusion don't, chances are when you come back to the pull-up, you won't remember what you did, you won't remember how many reps you did, and your chances of overloading are so much smaller. It'd be better to stick to one movement and progressively get better at it for, let's say, a 4 to 8 week period than after that is done, now you can switch things up. And that's what he means by saying training variation is a critical component of long-term planning, but if adaptive energy is too widely distributed, gains may be excessively diluted. So anyway, my general thoughts on deloading and a little bit on periodization there. I'll follow that up in a later video. I'm gonna sip on my pre-workout and then I'll check in with you guys over at the gym. I love driving in the snow.
I'm
So
a little
fun.
nervous. No, you don't have snow tires on.
Hey, what's up, man? We just got here to the gym. We're gonna switch over to this beast right here. Yeah, I know. It's been terrible lighting, bro. This is the camera. This is why we need the hits. Right. Yeah, we're gonna switch over here and get into the workout. My lats are still so sore from all those pull-ups.
Oh, touching Tuesday?
From the pull-ups, yeah, from the other night. I bet you I'll feel that deadlift. That's a good stretch he's doing. Open up the adductors. And... Got a couple step throughs. I'll hop into it. Week 1, block 2, and today we've got starting off with deadlifts, 4 sets of 3 with 75% of my 1 rep max. So that should be pretty easy. I'm really gonna focus on honing in on my technique here. So I'm putting in 415 as my max. So it comes out to be 311. I'm gonna round that up to 315. And I'm still being conservative with my deadlift 1RM just because my lower back, I can tell isn't 100%, and I don't wanna push it to the point that it starts to feel worse. So I'm gonna be conservative, especially during deload week, just really hone in on my technique. That's another important thing I didn't mention earlier about deloading, is that as you near the end of a training block and the sets are getting really hard, your technique inevitably will change a little bit. So the deload week allows you to kind of reset your technique, get everything back under control, and then move forward again with load increases from there. For deadlifts, normally I'll lift in a flat shoe, like with no heel, but lately, for whatever reason, I've just been throwing on my powerlift shoes, and they do have a slight heel here, and I've just been finding that more comfortable lately, for whatever reason. I've also been throwing on my knee sleeves for deadlifts. This isn't something I normally recommend, but I did this like 3 or 4 years ago for one phase of training, and I really liked it, so I'm doing it again now. But yeah, these here are, I think, the 5th prototype of the Rise knee sleeves that we're working on. So these are the original ones. If you bought them, these are the ones you have now. And the issue that I was having with these is they didn't have quite enough coverage, so they weren't quite long enough. So what we've done is made them longer, and also the material is tighter, so it's a little bit more resilient. The issue with these, though, that I'm finding, and I'm gonna give this feedback to Rise, is that I want this to be higher here, so you have more knee coverage on the back, and then they'll be 100%. Okay, up next we've got tempo back squats, just 2 sets, 6 reps, 60% 1 rep max. The idea here is to have an actual 2-second lowering phase, so you're gonna take your breath in, 1, 2, slight maybe half-second pause in the hold, and then you're gonna accelerate up normal speed. So we're doing that for 6 reps, and I think I'm gonna get into these, and I'll catch up with you guys after and kind of take you through the rest of the workout, and I'll just put the clips over the talking bits. Here we go. All right, guys, just got back from the gym. Man, that was a crazy workout. I'm really excited to be training with Steph again because she just ran a super glute-focused program for the last few months, and now she's wanting to train her upper body again more, so we're gonna be training together more on the channel, so you can look forward to that. Anyway, I'm gonna take you guys through the rest of this workout. So after deadlifts, we did those tempo back squats. Basically, the point there is to really reinforce proper technique and make the movement challenging with lighter loads. So you'll remember I said in the gym that no matter what, for the most part, and research shows this, your form will start to change as the weight gets heavier and heavier. So toward the end of a block, chances are your form has broken down a little bit. So by introducing these back in now, it basically reinforces what should be good lifting habits from the beginning. So if, let's say, you notice that your hips would shoot up a little bit out of the bottom of the squat, or maybe your knees would cave in a little bit, going slow on the negative, I think, is the single best way to reinforce proper lifting habits. So keep that in mind, and that applies with any lift. And then also, the research on slow eccentrics doesn't really show a benefit when it comes to hypertrophy, and I feel like a lot of people take that to mean, oh, well, slow eccentrics are useless. But I think what it actually shows is that you can get the same hypertrophy with lighter loads if you use slow eccentrics. From my view, that's a perfect case for doing them. So that's the reason we're including those. After that, we moved on to round back dumbbell 45-degree hyperextension. I actually held a plate just because it was closer to me. And I just held a 25-pound plate there. And what you want to do here is allow your upper back to round, and you want to think about squeezing your butt cheeks together to lift your body up. You can really turn this from a lower back exercise into a glute exercise by focusing on your glutes. This is something I talked about with Brett Contreras on my podcast. But you really want to drive your hips into the pad of the machine as if you were doing a hip thrust. And you don't necessarily want to extend all the way up. I like to cut the range of motion just slightly short, and that allows me to really feel my glutes. And honestly, I think I feel my glutes on those more than I would even a hip thrust. So I'm really excited to be doing those throughout the rest of this block. After that, we moved on to a Smith machine reverse lunge, 2 sets of 15 each leg, which was pretty brutal, I have to say. That was probably the toughest part of the workout. And with these, basically, you just want to start with your weaker leg and then match the reps with your stronger leg. For me, I did do 15 reps on the first set, but I found that to be pretty challenging, definitely more than an RP7, because this is a new movement, and cardiovascularly, it's challenging because you've got like 30 total reps to do, and single leg stuff is just tough to begin with. So I stripped it back to, I think, 10 reps each leg for the second set, just to keep true to that RPE. After that, we did enhanced eccentric lying leg curls. So basically Steph pushed down on the leg curl pad during the negative portion only. And I love doing these enhanced eccentrics for these isolation movements because you are so much stronger on the eccentric. So to take advantage of that, you can just have a partner push down and you'll kind of match out the strength curve, the natural strength curve of those movements a little bit better. So that's a really nice intensity technique that I'm gonna be using this block. And then we did the exact same thing with the leg extension. With the leg extension, you don't wanna apply too much force from your partner, on those, because it might give you a little bit of knee pain. I've never felt that myself, but just be cautious and don't overdo it with the loading on the negative there. Then we finished off with a little bit of glute medius and hip abduction work, which can really help train and strengthen that glute medius in a unique way, which is useful not only for growing the glutes generally, but in terms of preventing knee valgus on the squat. I think it does help keep the knees out, which is good. And it's good to have, to train the glutes in multiple planes of motion. So laterally, vertically, horizontally, etc. So yeah, and we skipped calves because I always do that. But yeah, just keeping it real. And that was the workout. So if you guys do want to run this push-pull legs program with me, you can check it out. I'll put a link to it over here next to my head. That's going to be a wrap for this video. I'm going to have another vlog. Probably by the time I vlog the next one, it might be a push or a pull workout. So stay tuned for that. And I'll see you guys all here in the next video.